Hi guys, welcome back to the new tutorial of C++ on our channel. And in today's video we're going to overload operators, and we're going to overload a unary operator. So what is a unary operator? That operator which works with only one operand. So we have two, you can say two unary operator. The first one is a increment and the second one is decrement operator. So in this video we're going to overload increment operator. And now the question arises that what is basically the concept of operator overloading. So you might have came across a term which is known as function overloading, probably in the previous classes or maybe somewhere else. But function overloading is something that when you create more than one function having the same name but having different number of arguments, or the data types of that those arguments a function is going to accept, or the order of those arguments that you have set inside of a function. So a compiler itself is going to identify to what function we're calling, right? So that's basically known as function overloading. But what about operator overloading? So operator overloading refers to the concept to make these operators work with user-defined data types. See, we have two types of data types. The first one is built-in data types such as integer, float, char, string, and so on. So they are known as built-in data types, and you can easily use those operators if you want to use logical operators, relational operators, arithmetic operators, or these unary operators. You can easily use them with those built-in data types. Now you cannot use those operators, any of the operator, with user-defined data types. So what is a user-defined data type? That's a question here. A user-defined data type is when you create a class. So when you create a class and you create objects of that class, you create instances for that class, those are known as user-defined data types. So you have to overload those operators in order to work with those objects, or in order to work with those user-defined data types. So I hope that this is clear. We're going to overload increment operator in this program, which will make that operator, that increment operator, to work with user-defined data types. So how we're going to do that? So let's get started, right? First of all, I have to include the iStream library. iStream hash include iStream, and then we're going to add some other objects here using std. We have cout here, and yep. So I hope this is enough for this program. Now we're going to create our class here. So class, and wait here, this program, what is this program basically all about? It's going to be a counter program. Means this program will work just like a counter by increasing that count value whenever we create object of this class. So alright, I'm sure or you might not be clear with this right now, but once you have finished watching this lecture, you will be cleared all about it. Okay, so class counter, this is the class name, which is counter. And now inside of this class I have to initialize a variable privately. So this is private access specifier, which means this variable or whatever we write under this access specifier will not be accessible outside of the class. So but we'll be accessing this variable here indirectly. All right, so I'm just going to type here int count equals to 0. So initially the count value will be 0, right? And now we're going to publicly uh, define some functions. The first function that I would like to here define is simple, that this is known as print function here, but it's going to return an integer, so int print, this is the function name. And down here I'm just going to simply return count variable. So whenever you call print function down below in your program, that will pop up this count, that what is the value of the count variable. So now now here's the deal. I'm just going to overload increment operator. So first of all, I will simply type void, which means this function is returning nothing, right? And operator, so this is the operator. This is basically a function which you can use to make these operators overloaded, right? So now after writing this operator function, you need to put that operator that you want to overload. So in this case, I'm overloading increment operator. That's it. Simply type it here and then just leave these parentheses empty. And now in the body, what I'm doing here is simply fixing it, right? Prefixing incrementation, right? So this is it. And then what I'm doing here, I guess I'm done with my class. I didn't terminated the class here, so now I've terminated the class, and now I'm going to create the main function here. So int main, and then right now this is simple, guys. Let me leave some spaces down here. And now here's the deal. Now we're going to create the object for this class counter. So the object name suppose is C1 here. So as I have declared this object, that means the count variable, the object, the C1 count variable is initialized with 0 by default, right? And now what I'm doing here is calling this function. So how do you really call this function? How can you give a call to this function? It's simple. Just simply types ++ and then C1 here. Yep, that's it. So if you now print the value of count by using this print function, you will get 1, right? So let's do it. Now I just want to simply print the value of count variable here, that what is the count variable value of count variable at this moment. So c1.print, right? That's it. I hope I haven't make any error. So return 0. Yep, you can also skip this line here, but just for you know, keeping the formality, I'm just typing it here. So this is a program. Let's compile this program. Go to the execute option, or you can simply press F9 on your keyboard. Let's compile it and see if I'm getting any errors. So I've got 0 errors. Now let's run the program and see the result. As you can see on the screen here, guys, you can check it out, guys. I've got my result, and that is 1. That means this function, the operator function, was only executed only once, right? So if I retype this code here, this line here, then I'll get the value 2. That count variable will be incremented by 1. So let me close it, and let's recompile it by pressing F9 on my keyboard. Right, all right, let me press F9 here. Yeah, now it's compiling. We've got 0 errors. Let's run it once again, and as you can see, guys, on the screen, we have got the value of count is 2, because what I did here is I have run the operator function 2 times. That's why when I print the value of C1, which means the count value here. So I got 2 because this function was executed 2 times. So I'm sure this is clear. Now if you have any question, you can go to the comment section and ask any question if you have got any, and don't worry, I'm going to re-explain it. So let's do it, guys. What I did here in this program, I'm overloading increment operator, right, by prefixing, not postfixing. Okay, so what I did here is I created a class with name counter. I specified my I privately specified the count variable here and initialized it with 0, and then publicly I defined 2 functions. The first function is basically returning the value of count here, and the second function is used to overload increment operator. So simply it's returning nothing, and this operator function is used to overload the operator, any operator that you want, and this operator here is the one that you have to put that you want to overload. So in this case I'm overloading increment operator. I've simply typed it, and then I'll leave these parentheses empty and simply prefixly increment the count variable. That's it, and then end this class here. Now what I did here is that I've created an object for the counter class, and then I have called the function the incrementation function, which is going to increment the value of count. So as you can see that if I didn't use this operator function, then I wouldn't have been able to use these operators in such way. So that's why we need to write it by ourselves. We need to overload these operators, and then I simply call the function once more, and then I simply print out the value of C1, or you can say the value of count here, because whenever I call the print function right down here, it's going to get there and return the value of count. So that's it, guys. I hope that this program is clear, and in the next lecture we will be overloading decrementation operator, or decrement operator you can call it, and this time the scenario was about counter, but in the next lecture the scenario would definitely be different. So if you have any question, you can go to the comment section and ask your question. That was all for now. Thank you for taking your time to watching this lecture, and I will see you guys in the next lecture.